Yes, you can proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, our honorable members of Parliament. Good afternoon, our permanent witnesses. To for Social Council, you are most welcome. My name is Honorable Kampamba Mlenga. I'm Member of Parliament for the good people of Kaburushi on the Copper Belt. You are most welcome.
Thank you very much. Honorable Mwene. Okay, thank you very much. Witness, my name is Honorable Simumba Lucas, Member of Parliament for Nakonde. I'm sitting in for the chair who is not with us. As you appear before this committee, indeed, any other committee of Parliament to assist in the deliberations before it, you are protected under Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia, which grants members of Parliament immunity against prosecution for what they say while in the House. This means that the information you give to this committee, it cannot be used against you outside Parliament or indeed in any course of the law, as long as it is factual. However, should you deliberately mislead this committee, the same law can be used against you, but we are sure that you won't take that way. You may now proceed and make your submission.
Thank you so much, Chair. Page 1, management response, cause of query. Number 1, community projects. Management acknowledges the auditor's findings and wishes to state that no domiciled contractor had bidded for the advertised projects, and the procurement committee decided to outsource the services from Luwingu, Kasama, and Mansa. Action taken. Management wishes to report that it has intensified on active engagement with local contractors, particularly those within Lupososhi and Northern Province, to enhance their capacity for future participation in procurement processes. Management undertook a training for council staff, local contractors, and suppliers on the use of electronic government procurement EGP system to ensure increased participation. See Appendix number 1, remedial measures. Management will continue to train our local suppliers and contractors on the procurement processes and provide assistance in obtaining relevant documents. We move on to B, management response and cause of query. Management acknowledges the auditor's findings and wishes to state the delay was due to increase in the cost of construction arising from a shift from the use of bent clay bricks to concrete blocks, lack of construction materials within reasonable proximity, and increased transportation costs due to accessibility challenges. Further, at the expiry of the first extension, additional funds could not be sourced from 2023 as the funds were already committed to other projects. Action taken. Management wishes to report that the 3 doors to classrooms, glass panels, stays, and handles to the contractor has been fixed. Has been fixed, and replacement of the floor, ramp, and painting of official boards is underway. See Appendix 2. Remedial measures. Management will be ensuring cost-reflective budgets and reasonable time frame that takes into account the proximity of materials at planning stage. Management further intends to procure a block making machine so as to ensure availability of concrete blocks within the district. We move on to item C, completion of the Kamonga Staff House. Management response. Cause of query. Management acknowledges the auditor's findings and wishes to state that the two external doors had expanded after absorbing moisture, rendering the operational space insufficient. Action taken. Management wishes to report the two doors have been replaced. There are those pictures which are showing below. And see Appendix 3. Remedial measures. Management wishes to state that particular attention shall be paid to quality of water repellent finishes on external doors. We move on to page 5. D. Management response. Cause of query. Management acknowledges the auditor's findings and wishes to state that to state the delay was due to increase in the cost of construction arising from a shift from the use of bent clay bricks to concrete blocks, lack of construction materials within reasonable proximity, and increase in transportation costs due to accessibility challenges. Further, at the expiry of the first extension, additional funds could not be sourced from 2023 as the funds were already committed to other projects. In addition, quality controls was being carried in accordance with the contract under clause GCC 7.1, which does not mandate stage completion certificates. The overpayment was due to an intentional payment of the septic tank and soakaway twice. Further, the floor had developed surface hairpin cracks due to rapid hardening of sand cement screed and went unnoticed as the floor was being cured using sand. Action taken. Management wishes to state the cracks have been repaired and remaining works are underway. The overpayment will be subtracted from the remaining IPCs. See Appendix 4. Remedial measures. Management will be ensuring cost-reflective budgets and reasonable time frame that takes into account the proximity of materials at planning stage. Management further intends to procure a block-making machine so as to ensure availability of concrete blocks within the district. To eliminate the overpayment during project execution, management shall automate the production of IPCs using appropriate formulas and by linking it to bill of quantities. Management will expand the verification process for payments of measured works. Further management shall incorporate insurance of stage completion certificates in addition to progress reports that are used prior to every stage payment. Item E. Management response. Cause of query.
You need to read the heading.
Construction of 50 by 40 wire fence around fish ponds at Musopelo in Ibale ward. Management response. Cause of query. Management acknowledges the auditor's findings and wishes to state that the wire fence was constructed on an embankment of excavated material around the pond. However, due to a number of weak points on the embankment, the placement of poles was strategically placed on portions which were deemed stable so as to eliminate the possibility of failure. Action taken. Management wishes to state the project was complete and in a functional state and is currently beyond the defects and reliability period. However, their intention is not yet paid and the contractor was written to refund the payment, which has already done. Further, the contractor has expressed commitment to pay the overpayment. See Appendix number 5. Remedial measures. Management has intensified and expanded on the verification of payments for measured works. We move to another item, that is grants, number 2, empowerment.
Over.
On page 7,
No, the heading. A.
grants, empowerment.
Over.
Over, payment of grant.
Okay.
Management response. Management acknowledges the findings of the auditors and would like to clarify that the decision to increase the allocated funds for the aforementioned project was based on the comprehensive assessments conducted by the Technical Appraisal Committee. The committee determined that the initially applied amounts by the clubs was insufficient for the complete implementation of the project in question. Consequently, the Constituency Development Funding Committee, CDF, approved the adjusted amounts and subsequently recommended to the Provincial Constituency Development Fund Committee to approve the upward adjustment of the requested funds. Action taken. Management wishes to state that it has continued monitoring the beneficiaries involved to ensure that the project are implemented as per Technical Appraisal Committee recommendation. See Appendix 6. Remedial measures. Management wishes to state that to prevent similar incidents, the Council will ensure that groups are guided by the current market price index in a particular quarter and also consider inflation dynamics. Further, the Council shall ensure that technocrats, WDC ex-officials are part of the budgeting process and offer much needed technical guidance to would-be beneficiaries to warranty project amounts are realistic. We move on to item number B, failure to recover wrong repaid grant. Cause of query. Management acknowledges the auditor's findings and wishes to indicate that the failure to recover the wrong repaid grant resulted from cooperative submitting a wrong account. The account that was submitted belonged to a club but used for FISIP activities. Management further wishes to report that upon discovering the issue, the Council engaged the bank to rectify the error and initiate the recovery process. Action taken. Management wishes to report that after the bank concluded with its due diligence, funds have been successfully recorded into Lupososhi CDF account. Move on to number 8, remedial measures. Management wishes to state that it will be conducting bank account verification with respective banks before finalizing payments. We move on to item C, village banking groups without money lender certificate. Cause of query. Management acknowledges the auditor's findings and wishes to report that the payment made to Kasankalabwe Multipurpose Cooperative without a money lender's certificate resulted from lack of due diligence in ensuring compliance with Money Lenders Act. Action taken. Management wishes to report the club in question has started the process of acquiring the Money Lenders Certificate. See Appendix 8. Remedial measures. Management wishes to state that it shall not disburse funds to clubs or organizations lacking money lending certificates. This measure is intended to ensure strict adherence to legal requirements. We move to another item. B, cross-cutting audit findings. Appendix number 1, budget performance. Cause of query. Management acknowledges the audit findings and wishes to inform the committee that the variance occurred due to the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development deducting funds at the source for the purchase of CDF monitoring vehicle and the Zambia Police Land Cruiser. The interest was as a result of an accumulating on the main CDF revolving fund and shall be channeled towards other future loan applicants. The balance brought forward was from 2021 ongoing projects which were onset of the 2022 were still underway. Further, unspent funds resulted from delayed guidance on disbursement, with the CDF guidelines only being launched in February 2022. The subsequent training of ward development committees, sensitization of stakeholders, delayed authorization to spend by relevant authorities, including the Minister of Local Government, Minister of Finance, and Minister of Justice, that is the Attorney General's Chamber, further hindered the timely disbursement of funds. Action taken. Management wishes to report that it has since spent an amount of 13,863,568 on CDF activities, leaving a balance of 7,066,664.79. See Appendix number 9. Remedial measures. Management wishes to inform the committee that it shall intensify the engagement between itself and the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development for speedy policy direction and guidance on the utilization of CDF funds. We move on to Appendix 2, failure to spend 11,260,000 failure to spend. At the time of audit, 22 projects had been approved for implementation, with 5 projects carried over from 2021. It was observed that an amount of 11,260,321 had not been spent on the 22 projects as tabulated below. Cause of query. Management wishes to inform the committee that the variance resulted from delayed guidance on disbursement, with CDF guidelines only being launched in 2022. The subsequent training of Ward Development Committee, sensitization of stakeholders, and delayed authorization to spend by relevant authorities, including the Minister of Local Government, Minister of Finance, and Minister of Justice, further hindered the timely disbursement of funds. Action taken. Management wishes to report that it has since spent 7,280,173,000 kwacha on CDF community-based projects, leaving a balance of 4,657,988. See attached Appendix 10. Remedial measures. Management wishes to inform that committee that it shall intensify the engagement between itself, Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Minister of Justice, for speedy policy approval of community-based projects. Appendix number 3, misapplication of funds. Cause of query. Management wishes to acknowledge the audit findings and wishes to report that the misapplication of funds occurred due to a deviation by the mentioned clubs from their initially approved projects, raising concerns about the compliance with the stipulated guidelines for fund utilization. Initially, the clubs had informed the local authority in the change of projects due to some factors that couldn't allow them to implement the initial approved projects. Action taken. Excuse me. Management wishes to report the identified clubs were engaged and they were advised on the correct procedure to follow when seeking changes to the project description. The affected clubs informed the office of the council secretary and the change of projects were approved. The affected clubs had done as advised that the CDF approved the change of projects. See the table below. And also see Appendix 11. Remedial measures. Management shall emphasize and reinforce the adherence to project guidelines and procedures for any changes in project description. Further, training and capacity building sessions for the beneficiary clubs shall be conducted to enhance their understanding of the project approval processes, and sensitization will be done as the applicants stick to the initial approved projects. We move on to another item, Appendix 4, unaccounted grants amounting to 280,000 kwacha. Cause of query. The unaccounted grants can be attributed to lack of proper documentation, inadequate records, and the absence of receipts for the reported expenses by the beneficiary clubs. Action taken. Management wishes to inform the committee that the matter was reported to CDF for action. CDF took note of the report and recommended for blacklisting of the clubs and individuals from assessing any empowerment from CDF. See Appendix 12. Remedial measures. Management wishes to commit itself to implementing a more rigorous monitoring system to ensure ongoing compliance with financial guidelines and to promptly identify and address any irregularities. Further, we shall enforce the adherence to grant utilization procedures, grant utilization guidelines, emphasizing the necessity of the following prescribed procedures for financial transactions related to projects. Appendix 9.1, bursaries, that is secondary and skills development, unspent grant. Management response. Cause of query. Management wishes to acknowledge the audit query, which revolves around the significant challenge of low turnout of local youth in Lupososhi district benefiting from allocated bursaries for secondary and skills development. This issue arose due to the failure to meet essential needs such as transportation, food, and school requirements by the youth. Action taken. Management wishes to report that numerous sensitization had been conducted for youth and pupils to take up the bursary programs, but still had a low turnout of youth and pupils from across the district. However, we wish to report that an amount of funds amounting to 2,809,678,000 kwacha had been spent on several activities from the bursaries component to support other CDF projects through variation. See the table below. And that is the balance brought forward, which has been carried over to 2023 bursary component. And see Appendix 13. Remedial measures. Management wishes to report to the committee that it shall conduct a more robust sensitization campaign for pupils and students to encourage greater participation in boarding and skills development initiative. Further, through the ward development committees, organize sessions with parents and guardians to outline the advantages of enrolling their children in boarding and skills development program. This marks the end of our report, Chair, and I submit.
Okay, thank you very much. Although your report is not signed, that is one of observation. Oh, it's signed here. Yeah. Okay, have been. Thank you very much. Now I will invite members of Parliament to seek points of clarifications. Honorable Dr. Mwanza.
Thank you, thank you, Chair. I refer the committee to the first page, page 1. Awarding of contracts to ineligible bidders. Five contracts were awarded to companies that are not domiciled in Lupososhi, sort of like they are not local contractors. They are from neighboring provinces. I will take you from the table of these contractors, the contractor number 2, Tachima Trust Company Limited. When I look at the evaluation report, which is on Appendix 1, Appendix 1, page 7. On this particular bid involving a wire fence, at the time of tender opening, there were 10 companies that were present as listed. Opening the bids, only 2 bids were opened for Tachima and the Rockton contractors. Rockton, there's no bid sum. Only Tachima, bid sum of 71,643. And the evaluation process finally awarded Tachima. I'm just trying to build my question. The other bidders, page 1, bidder number 3, over bidders and general contractors. On page 12 of the appendix 1, on page 12 of the appendix 1, at tender opening, there were only 2 bidders. This is a bid that was the method of procurement was by open national bidding. And you received only 2 bids, over bidders construction and the Brumit general contractors. The total bids, the bid sum for over bidders construction was 82,957. The Brumit general contractors bid sum was 122,716. The tender results is that over bidders was awarded this contract. But he was awarded at 122,716. You can verify on page 15. His bid sum, when he opened his tender, was 82,957. And then he was awarded at 122,716. These are bidders outside the province, outside the constituency. Bid number 4, Mevisco General Dealers, which is on page 1, the first table, of course. And the same bid opening results, which is appendix 1, page 17. Page 17, is it page 17? Where is it? Yeah, page 17. I think there are only 2 at bid opening. There were only two bidders for this particular project. From this tender process, these are bidders outside the constituency, and there are a lot of rules that have been abrogated for them to be awarded these projects. First one is that when you do open national tender, when there are only 2 bidders that have responded, what does procurement rule say about that? Do you go ahead with evaluation and award when it's only 2 bidders that have submitted? That is my first question about procurement. The second question, on over contractors. The contractor, in his bidding document, his bid sum is 58,000, something like that, I think. His bid sum is 82, and this is a contractor who is outside the constituency. And then the procurement committee awards him at 122,000 kwacha, more than twice what he bid for. How do you explain this tender procedure that you awarded a contractor to a bid sum that he did not commit?
Okay, thank you very much. CS, you can attempt those two questions.
Thank you so much, Thank you so much, Chair. I've just been advised by my team here that on OVO Builders Construction, it was a typo. And I'm sure the person who was taking the minutes did not do a good job on that one. And on the other question number 1, on the national bidding, once you receive less than 3 companies who are bidding for a job, the normal procedure is you have to re-advertise. Thank you.
Okay, so on the same, this error typo, have you just discovered here, or you discovered before coming here?
Chair, sorry, we've just discovered here, and I must confess, even when you look at the names for the people who attended this this tender meeting, you can see that the chairperson is the former council secretary, and most of the officers here, that is the director of works, the procurement officer, maybe except the district planning officers. The district planning officer is the only one who attended. So I think it was included in this report minus the further scrutiny. I submit.
Honorable Nyambose, then Honorable Mwanza.
Thank you very much, Chair, for the opportunity. I get worried when the council secretary just says.
Secretary, can you switch off your mic?
When he says it's just a typo. What is that typo? You must give further guidance, because it has been discovered that instead of 82,987, you got actually the amount of 122,716 for Bromit General Dealers. And the chairperson has asked, have you discovered today these reports? Did you go through them? You are coming to present. I think there was so much anxiety that your day is coming and you are coming. Did you go through it to check through what you are presenting today? Then the other question has not been answered by Dr. Mwanza. The question was, if you have less than 3 bidders who are bidding for a project, the rules, you just said you re-advertise. The question, did you re-advertise in this particular case? I submit, Chair.
Council Secretary.
Thank you, Chair. For the second question, as you can see, or as you can read from the minutes, the tender was not re-advertised.
Why? Anyone can take the question.
Thank you, Chair. I think
Switch off your mic. Okay.
I think from the minutes, the evaluation committee.
Procurement officer, was the tender advertised?
No, Chair, it wasn't re-advertised.
That's the answer, because when you take us to the minutes, we'll go through the minutes. The question will remain unanswered.
Thank you, Chair. For
The
minutes.
tender was not re-advertised. Would want to find out, or maybe before I find out, I would want to, Honorable Shakafuswa.
Chair, the Council Secretary has said that the change of the contract amount from 82 to 122 is a typo error. Can we go to page 3? Or maybe we go to, yes, the page 3, completion of the Kamonga School Staff House. Here we are saying that the contract amount was 122,716, and as at 31st October 2023, on page 4, the first sentence on page 4, the contractor had been paid a total amount of 90,113. Is this also a typo error?
Council Secretary, remember you are under Cap 12. Whatever information you are giving to this committee should be factual. We can proceed and answer the question from Honorable Shakafusu.
Thank you, Chair. The 90,000 kwacha, 113 is the correct amount which was paid. Thank you.
Honorable Shakafuswa.
As a stage payment.
Honorable Shakafuswa.
Yes, thank you so much. So you can confirm that this contract, which was bidded at 82,000, was actually awarded at 122,000. Are you able now to confirm?
Council Secretary, you can delegate anyone. It's like there's some information.
Right, okay, thank you, Chairman. Allow me to call upon the DPO to explain more.
DPO?
Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, Chair.
Yes.
The CS said it was a typo error. Yes. Before he brings in anyone, I want him to confirm first so that we correct the record and then we can have an explanation. Are you able to confirm or not?
Yes, it was a typo error.
Okay, thank you.
CS, this is a very serious committee that also believes in evidence. Page 4. On top there, the contractor had been paid 90,113 as at 31st October. So, when you paid this amount, how much was the contract sum? You paid this amount as at 31st October. You were paying from which contract? How much was the contract sum?
Chair, it's the same 122,000 kwacha.
Are you understanding what you are giving to this committee, Council Secretary? You are contradicting yourself. The typo error now has become a contract sum. Is that your statement? You gave the information to this committee that this 122 was a typo error. Again here, you are saying this amount, 90,113, was paid from the contract sum of 122. The concern of the statement, what are you telling this committee now, since you have realized? We want you to state what you are telling this committee.
Oh, thank you, Chair. Allow me to call upon the DPO to come.
Before he comes in, the typo error came from you. We want the Secretariat to have the clear picture. Was it a contract sum or it was a typo error?
It was a typo error.
Honorable Nyambosi.
Chair, before DPO comes in, you are being guided. This is a very serious committee.
Yes, Chair.
There are two issues here. For this particular project, there were two bidders. One was the OVO builders and general dealers, whose bid price for the same project was 82,997. Correct?
Yes, correct.
The other bidder, the one who had the highest, who bidded the highest, was Brumit General Dealers. And you settled for the lowest bidder as per regulation, who was OVO Builders, whose bid was 82. But on awarding, you got the bid price for Brumit and gave it to OVO. And when you were asked by the chair and other members, you said, no, this was a typo. Now, if this was a typo, that the 122,716.80 was a typo, Honorable Shakafuso has asked you, as at 31st October 2023, you had paid on the same contract, you had paid 90,113, which is more than the 82, assuming that the 82 was the contract price. Assuming it was 82, as you said, it was a typo.
Yes, sir.
Why did you pay 90,000 more than the 82? Then you came to say, no, actually, we paid 90,000 out of 122. Yes. So you are asked by the chair, you continue saying it's a typo. Do you know the meaning of typo?
Yes, yes.
Do you stand by the word that this was a typo?
Chair, I've just been guided that the correct figure for OVO was 122,000 kwacha, 716. So the person who was recording the minutes, he could have mixed up the names.
This is, Chair, sorry, switch off your mic. Council Secretary and your team, this was not a mix-up. This is what you have been doing as a council. Giving you an example, the other contract which Dr. Mwanza brought on board, there were two bidders only. And according to the regulation, when you have less than 3, you are supposed to re-advertise. Here, you didn't do what you are supposed to do according to regulation. You didn't re-advertise. You went ahead. Again, is it a typo? So you can tell from the onset that when we are interrogating this particular case, we can sense that you have been colluding and doing things wrongly. That's why the chair has asked you, and Honorable Shakafuswa, you are not doing a correct job. These are serious matters. You can tell that project management at your council is really in a problem. Chair.
Yes. Before I allow other questions, we get it that 122 was typo as a committee, and then the contract sum was 82,000. That's what we want to get it, so that we move together with you. Now, why did you pay the contractor more than the contract sum? DPO, we have gotten it. You are telling this committee that 122 was typo. Now, the contract sum was 82,000. How much was that? 82,000? 987. That was the contract sum. But why have you paid, since that was typo, why have you paid the contractor more than the contract sum to the total of 90,113? CS?
DPO, allow me to call upon DPO to clarify more.
Thank you, Chair. I think the clarification that I would like to make is that the error is just in the minutes, but in the actual contract, Chair, the contract sum was of 122,716.80 kwacha. So that was the actual contract sum, and it was given to Ovo Builders Construction, not to Brumit. Thank you.
Honorable Shakafuswa?
So here, CS, contrary to the procurement guidelines, we received 2 bidders. We went ahead and awarded the highest bidder. First, we were supposed to re-advertise. Then we received 2 bids. Ovo, according to what you've said, we say Ovo at 122 and Brumit at 82. Why did we overlook the lowest bid?
Council Secretary or DPO?
What is the justification for going to the highest bid?
Chair, I've just been advised, Chair, that there was the tender committee made
Council
that decision.
Secretary, take responsibility. You are the principal officer. Now, I don't know where that advice is coming from, because here we know that you are Lupososhi. So take responsibility, even when you are speaking to this committee. Don't give information like you have been told. By who? Then let the one who is telling you inform this committee so that we get to know the truth.
Thank you, Chair. The reason why Ovo Construction Limited was awarded this contract was based on the engineer's estimate. That's why he was awarded a contract of 122,716, rather than it going for the lowest bid. I submit.
The typo error has now been awarded the contract. That's what you are telling this committee.
Chair, I thought the DPO has already clarified that the person who was recording the minutes is the one who could have made that error. But the correct contract sum for OVO was 122,000 kwacha, 700.
Okay, Honorable Nyambose, then Dr. Mwansa.
Assuming we take your the statement that you have just given.
Yes.
Well, my first question, was this labor-based?
No, full contract, Chair.
Full open tender?
Yes.
Why do you bring in the issue of engineers' estimates? If it was open, you had given this tender to the people and the contract price. How did they know about the 122? That was my question, number one. Number two, Chair, assuming we go with them to say the 122 was the contract price. Chair, I want you to go to page 4. It says, just where from Honorable Shakafusa left, stopped, the first paragraph, it says the physical inspection of the project carried out in September 2023 reviewed that the project had been completed. I stop there. And you are paid 90,000 kwacha. Completed. You are paid them 90,000 kwacha. What you are keeping from 122, assuming that was the contract price, was retention. And if you calculate the normal retention that we have been educated about, is 5%. Isn't it?
Yes.
And the 5% of 122,716 amounts to 32,600. The 5% of 22,000 is actually 6,135. If that was the retention. of 122. Now, what was the balance between 122,716 and 90,013? The balance was 132. How would you explain this? Chair, the other piece of advice, do not take this committee as child's play. Be consistent. If you have no information, give the DPO who was there to answer this. You are confusing us. Today, if this moment you are saying this, then you change again. You can tell that there's a problem in project management, procurement team.
Dr. Mwanza?
Chair, there's very serious issues on procurement.
Switch off the mic. Yeah. Okay.
There are very serious, so many serious issues on this project. Just as the Honorable Nyambose stated, that you have paid 90,000 and the project is completed, which means if we take that the bid for permit was 82,000, which means it was close to the cost of the project. Your justification is that the project was given to the highest bidder because you followed the engineer's estimate. Yes, I've seen your engineer's estimate is 123,000 kwacha. But any evaluation report, you're supposed to put these notes. To put these notes to say the lowest bidder is not awarded the job because he is maybe less, maybe minus 30% away from the engineer's estimate. But there was not that justification. So something going around in procurement for these contractors coming from outside the constituency. They collude with the procurement and they just get these jobs on a silver plate. No procurement rules were followed when you did this evaluation. I will give you another example, another shock. For the this on page 10 of the appendix 1. Yes.
Page 10. Let's go to page 10.
This is a project where only 2 bidders participated for a wire fence. And these 2 bidders, Tachima General Dealers and Rockton Contractors. Rockton Contractors, apparently at bid opening, they did not even record his bid sum. Then in the evaluation process, on page 10 at commercial stage, on page 10 at commercial stage, which is table 8, both contractors failed out. Both contractors became non-responsive because they did not submit a litigation statement. You can check the criteria number 2, which is litigation. On Tachima, there was nothing, no. And on Raktan now, the name has changed. I think it was yeah, on page 7, this contractor is called Rocktan. On page 10, it's Raktan. Okay. So on table 8, page 10, these 2 contractors, they failed the adjudication process by non-provision of a litigation statement, which is a very, very, very serious statement. Position of legal status. Is your company attending court sessions, court issues, or not? Otherwise, we award you a project, then later you have another litigant comes to claim certain things from our council. So these 2, only 2 bidders, and all of them failed, non-responsive, and you went ahead, abrogate ZPPA rules, you went ahead to award the contract to Tachima. And this very Tachima, when you started constructing the fence, he was even overpaid. There's, I think somewhere, he was even overpaid where the steel poles of 75 millimeters, there were supposed to be 40 of them for that fence. He only installed 20. And the 50 millimeters GI pipes, there were supposed to be 20. He only installed 10. And he was paid for all the GI pipes that were prescribed in the BOQ. The facts are in the contract here. I mean, exactly. And this is a contractor coming from outside the province, outside the constituency. Also, at the bid evaluation, failed, was non-responsive. Procurement committee decided to go ahead against it. Where did you even apply for a waiver from ZPPA? First, you abrogate that 2 companies, you go ahead with evaluation. You've got a right to apply for a waiver to ZPPA. And let ZPPA advise. There's no, maybe it's there. I'm not, do you have? So, what makes the Opposition Council to abrogate procurement rules with impunity to actually favor? We can clearly see that it is favoring certain contractors who are even from outside the province.
Council Secretary.
Thank you so much, Honorable, for your question. Honorable, if we refer you to page 11, that is the 3rd paragraph, where it reads, however, Tachima managed to reschedule and provide a valid litigation certificate, litigation status. So both companies were advised to provide the litigation status, and this was recorded in our minutes. I submit.
Sorry, Council Secretary. When you are doing evaluation, the criteria for responsiveness is very clearly defined in the bidding document. When you are doing evaluation, you don't contact the bidder to supply supplementary information for them to qualify. After bids have been concluded, then you call them to say, that's why, I mean, all this explanation, it's confirming that there is that collusion. You could have actually told them, when you opened the bids, you could have told them to submit the litigation and hide this kind of information here.
Honorable Shakafuswa.
Chair, you take note that this is another second award of a contract, contrary to the ZPPA guidelines, procurement guidelines. Now, I'm interested in the overpayment. I note that there have been overpayment in, I think, in 3 instances, but we'll stick to this one under discussion. Where is the auditor? Is the auditor here?
Yes, sir.
CS, before, when a claim is given to the council by the contract, it is a requirement that the engineer, the project manager, and the auditors go and do a post-audit to go and confirm that what the contractor is claiming has indeed been installed on site. In this case, they were supposed to put 40 poles, they put 20, and instead of 20, they put 10. Why did Lopososh Council go ahead to make the overpayment of 7,000 and 3,000 respectively, 10,000? Where was the auditor?
Auditor, did you see that payment?
Chair, I wish to acknowledge that that oversight was there, but again, at the same time, I was working with...
CS, you can switch off your mic. Yes?
At the same time, when going to verify, we go with people from engineering, which would be director of works, or maybe you assign someone else.
So the
I
people
also
from
depend-
engineering,
I also depend on...
just there, when you go with the people with engineering, those are the ones that tell you to say, just to okay this payment.
I
What
also
are you
de-
trying to justify?
My justification is I also depend on the experts' opinions. As an auditor, as we audit, we also invite the experts to advise us. whether-
Auditor General, I'm the expert,
Yes.
and I tell you to say this bottle of water, it costs 50 kwacha. As an expert, and you know as an auditor that it's not 50 kwacha, it's 5 kwacha. Can you go with my decision?
Chair, the oversight has been acknowledged. I think as we go forward, we'll
Finish. Honorable Shakafuswa, then Honorable Nyambose.
Auditor, go to page 7. Are you on page 7, Auditor, of the main report?
Yes, Honorable.
Can you read for us the second paragraph there, then you answer so that we hear what you're saying?
3.1.
Where it says, however, it was observed that the contractor construction of 50 by 40 wire fence around fish ponds.
Page 7.
Page 7.
Okay.
We want you to make sense to everyone.
Second paragraph.
Yes, read there.
However, it was observed that the contractor only installed 20 out of 40 75 millimeter GI pipes, resulting in a loss of 7,000, and 10 out of 20 50 millimeter GI pipes had not been installed, resulting in a loss of 3,000 kwacha.
You are saying you go with the engineering and you depend on their advice. When you go on site, aren't you supposed to count what the contract says and what has been installed for you to okay the payments, what has been worked? Do you need to be advised? Your fellow external auditors have picked it here. You went on site. Why didn't you check? Why didn't you verify that all the poles that were supposed to be installed in the contract were put there?
Then auditor.
Honorable, on that matter, I think the oversight has been acknowledged, but I would...
We want to...
I would also love...
Internal auditor.
Yes, sir.
You should first listen and then you answer. You have been asked a question and you said you always follow what the professionals are advising you. Hence the question from Honorable Shakafuswa. Did you go to the site and you discovered this? Did you go on the site?
Chair, we did go on the site.
Did you find out that they just installed 20 pipes out of 40? Did you find out that?
Chair, that's why I'm acknowledging
Did you
that
find out that the only pipes which were installed were 20 instead of 40?
Chair, that's why I'm acknowledging to say there are details which we didn't consider. More
Director
especially-
X? Okay.
Auditor, are you independent of the other departments, yes or no? Are you supposed to rely on advice of any of the directors?
Yes, Honorable, I'm independent, but there are certain situations whereby I need advice from Director of Works. That's why
You are there to give advice to the management and you want them to be giving you advice. The auditor is there to give an advice to the management. Where they are supposed to go astray, you are there to say you can't touch here because of ABCD. But you are there now waiting for the advice from them, from the management. Honorable Shakafuso. Then Honorable
Chair,
Nyambose.
to me, if this auditor was indeed there, I can put it in white and black that he is not qualified. The auditor reports to the town clerk. The auditor is independent. The auditor is the goalkeeper of the local authority. He's not supposed to be advised by any director from any department. He's the person who is supposed to safeguard resources, doing work physically, Chair. So I don't even have further questions for him.
Thank you. Honorable Nyambose. As we are winding up from this question so that maybe we can
Honorable Shakafuswa has well summarized. He has put it very clear, and that was my comment, Chair. I fear the people of Pososhi have got a wrong person to guard the resources of the council. If you look at even the issues that on this question, the issues of procurement, whatever the case, is because it's part of the, if for lack of better term, a cartel. You cannot allow to be negligent as the auditor who reports direct to the chief executive officer, who is the council secretary. The reasons why they made this person to report direct is for the independence of his office to guide and safeguard resources. However, Lupososhi has got an auditor who gets instructions from Director of Works. Even the Director of Works himself, who is the supervisor chair, if we can ask him, Director of Works, you are here. What was your position when you saw that the contractor, first, you are on daily supervision or weekly or monthly. Second, at the final stage, when you are signing the IPCs or the completion certificate, you saw that these were not according to the contract. What was your position, Director of Works? Are you also part of the auditor's negligence?
Director of Works, what was your comment?
Thank you so very much for the question. The background that I got to how the fuel poles were installed was that this particular wire fence rather, was constructed on excavated soils. So as a result, poles were installed strategically on firm soils. Now the oversight there was at payment, it was supposed to be 10,000 less based on what is on the ground. Now,
Finish.
so
You can finish.
the oversight at payment was, we're supposed to pay exactly what was done on the ground, 10,000 less. But for
Yeah. That's what you want to hear. The very part, because you are under Cap 12.
no, I'm just saying we really acknowledge the negligent part, but so.
Did you report to the management that out of 40, only 20 were installed as the director engineer? Did you report that?
Maybe if I'm to just comment something at a personal level, but by the time I was transferred there, the wall fence was already constructed. So I'm dealing with more historical knowledge based on.
Okay. Honorable Kamonto.
I'm actually going back to the internal auditor. Were you working under duress to an extent that you couldn't actually know that there was this loss which was being made on the part of government? Did you work under duress?
Internal auditor.
Thank you, Chair. I didn't work under duress, but the fact of the matter is, as the Director of Works is trying to explain, when you look at the pictures where we did that fencing, there was a technical issue which has an internal auditor. I wouldn't really understand. That's when he's trying to come out, he's saying, those poles were supposed to be installed, the actual number which was in the BOQ, but they are not installed. So the issue was, that issue was supposed to be normalized from the people from that department. Not after we discovered that.
Honorable.
Thank you, Chair. I think to wrap up this topic, procurement, there are very serious problems there. They easily abrogate rules and they breach procurement rules and give to preferred contracts. And those contractors, when they are on site, they are overpaid. Because this contractor who was overpaid for those posts is the same contractor who did not qualify at the bid evaluation stage. And on site, he's overpaid. Poles, this fence, the wire fence, they are visible, countable. It doesn't require any engineer. Just by looking at the BOQ that I'm paying for this item, here there are 40 poles in the BOQ, but when I go on site, I can count them. I might not be aware, I might not know the standard, the diameters, but I can just count the total number and compare with what is there.
Honorable
So
Mwanza, ask your question.
So my question is, where is the appetite to overpay contractors that are actually, we can even see that they get these jobs through a coalition? And the question for this council, also on page appendix 10. Appendix 10. Appendix 10, the last page of the appendix 10, the table there. I'm just trying to show the committee the appetite.
Can you switch off your mic there?
I'm just trying to show the committee the appetite by this council to overpay and to overpay preferred contractors, and also the affinity to just spend the money carelessly without any supporting documents. So page 10, I mean the last page of appendix 10 is showing, are you there on appendix 10? Appendix 10, the last page, which is a table. Annex 4. Yes, Annex 4. On Annex 4, just at a glance, this table, the second last column, is showing additional amounts. So there's an approved amount for each project. There are 13 projects, community projects, 13 projects. There's an approved amount, which is the third column, an approved amount. Then there's a contract sum signed between the contractor and the client. After signing this contract, total amount paid to date, or something like this, a balance, available balance, and so on, value outstanding. Now I'm interested on the second last column, additional amount. Almost every project has had a variation to increase, to seek for additional funding. When the contractors are on site, they are overpaid. Then you even now, despite overpaying them, you are having variations. These variations, some of them are even more than like variation number 6. You asked for additional funds of 612,000. 612,000.
900.
Yes.
Actually 900.
Yeah, exactly. So, and there's no, I've perused through, none of these variations is accounted for. Maybe you can choose me any of the projects from 1 to 13 and show us the procedure of seeking for variation from the CDF committee, the minutes, and also the source of funding, the source for this additional funding, whether the variation was within the 25% threshold that the principal officer has, or, I mean, can you show us one out of the 13, the legal process of seeking a variation?
CS,
Just choose any.
CS, there are about 13 projects which are for 2022 CDF. There is that additional amount. Any comment?
Thank you so much, Chair. I'll ask Director of Works to come in, but let me just explain briefly where we are coming from. These are 2022 projects which, for one or two reasons, which Director is going to explain more, were evaluated, and we discovered that the contractors were struggling to finish them on time because they were somehow undervalued. So, Director of Works, please explain more to the committee. Thank you.
Director of Works.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Maybe I'll try and take a deep dive. Let me give an example of 2022 CDF number 1. So there we have a 1x3 CRB, a staff house, and 2 VIP toilets, which were budgeted for 1-1. Now, these were based on clay bricks. So basically, we are talking a 1x3 at 500,000, a staff house at somewhere 300. So these were based on clay bricks. However, 2022 came with the launch of the standard BOQs, somewhere April, which I think also came with a directive that we stick to concrete blocks. Now, we didn't do that variation where we needed to adjust the amounts at the time, because the price disparity really between clay block and concrete blocks is about 3 times as much. But in our case, we budgeted for clay bricks, procured concrete blocks. So the price disparity really affected that, plus other...
Chair, just on that, do you have any evidence of showing that to instruct you to use concrete blocks, not clay bricks?
I think I'll have to provide
because
that.
I have seen, because what is important for a wall is just the crushing strength, the strength of the wall.
Yes.
Whether it's made of concrete blocks or clay bricks. After all, you plaster and
True.
you hide the walls.
Very true.
So you did the BOQ and floated the tenders on according to your claim on clay bricks, right? Contractors were awarded the contracts, and then you come later to say, oh, no, you have got to put concrete blocks. Is that what is the cause of these variations? And what I'm looking at is what the procedure that you followed, because this council seems to be not, that it has an appetite of not following any laid down regulations, starting from procurement and also to director works, because if you're saying change the specification to concrete blocks, where are the minutes? I just want to see the procedure.
Honorable Dr. Mwanza, I think it's evident enough that these people are failing to follow the procedures. I think for this question, I would want if you have got any other questions, because surely, no matter how much we can labor, I've seen the appetite of not following the procedure and so forth. So maybe if we can just go to another question. Honorable Nyambose.
Chair, I've been itching to make a comment, but I have not been given an opportunity. What I wanted to say, Chair, before I ask a different question, is that we have a disaster in Lupososhi. You cannot justify whatever you are saying. The man who has just left is a doctor in engineering. He's not a doctor in other field. So what you are trying to justify, and this committee is competent. You saw Honorable Shakafuswa guiding you on how the auditor and how the auditor operates in the councils. I've worked all my life in the councils from the lowest rank. I was the president of Zulao. That man is an accountant. This one. So we are not a composition that you can come and give stories. We have already deduced. Question number on page 7, Chair. The question is overpayment of grant. Chair, a review of the application. Page 7, Chair.
Okay.
Are we there? I'm also dealing with another overpayment. A review of application forms revealed that 8 groups had applied for grants in amounts totaling 225,000. However, amounts totaling 308,000 had been paid to the groups, resulting in an overpayment of 83,000 kwacha. As at 31st October 2023, the grants had not been recovered. Chair, management's response. Allow me to state. Management acknowledges the findings of the auditors and would like to clarify that the decision to increase the allocated funds for the aforementioned projects was based on the comprehensive assessment conducted by the Technical Appraisal Committee. I hope you are moving with me. I will not go into the detail, Chair. Maybe let me proceed. The committee determined that the initial application amounts by the clubs were insufficient for the complete implementation of the projects in question. Consequently, the Constituency Development Fund Committee approved the adjusted amounts and subsequently recommended to the provincial committee. Chair, I am a club. I apply that I want to buy this phone. And I've gone to the market, I've found that this phone is 5,000 kwacha. I come and apply to you, town clerk, council secretary. I'm applying for a grant or a loan of 5,000 kwacha. I want to buy this. But then you say, no, it's actually, we're not going to give you 5,000 kwacha. We're giving you 7,000 kwacha. How true is this story? And why, at which point did you get the reaction from the groups who had initially applied for lesser amounts, and with your generosity you gave them overpayment, which resulted in 80-something thousand kwacha, the 83,000 kwacha, which money could have benefited the people of Lupososhi with another project? Chair, I may end there and I may become a follow-up question later. I submit, Chair.
Thank you very much. In addition to that question, at what point did the technical appraisal involve again the applicants that the money that they had to apply were small, or rather they were not enough? They wanted to have some bigger chunks. At what point, when you are answering Honorable Nyambose's question?
Oh, thank you, Chair. I think on this one, allow me to call upon the DPO, since he's the one who was out in the field, and this direct falls under him. DPO.
DPO?
Thank you so much, Chair, for the question. So I think I'll start with the procedure. When clubs apply for funds, before we grant them those funds that they've applied for, we actually conduct a field appraisal. The instance of us doing the field appraisals to understand the nature of these projects that they actually want to venture into, and also appreciate maybe do they have a space where they would like to do these same activities. So basically that's the instance of us going there and just appreciate what they've prepared from their end before we grant them the requested for funds. So this appraisal, we don't just do it as local authority officers alone. We involve other technocrats who are specialized in some of these technical projects. So, Chair, if you've noticed, most of these projects that would increase the funds for were a little bit technical. They're not ordinary projects. So you might find that these clubs might not understand the technicalities of what they're applying for. So as we go out there, for example, give an example for this club that applied for cattle rearing. At the point, Chair, at the point that these guys were making a budget, they didn't have anybody from Department of Fisheries and livestock to actually guide them on all the necessary issues that are supposed to come with this project. So they forgot the issue of vaccines. So we went in detail of their budget to discover that vaccines were not actually part of their budget. So our friends, all our colleagues from the department that deals with this such kind of projects advised to say, if you give them the way they have applied like this, these animals might not survive. Animals need vaccines, especially in our area. Animals can't live without vaccines. That's how we came up with a decision of increasing the amount by 5,000. Then that decision, Chair, we didn't just make it alone as a CDFC committee. We actually took it for approval by the province, and the province actually approved. So after we received that approval, that's when we communicated back to the club to say we went through the application, and from the look of things, if I told you had given you applied for amounts, you couldn't have actualized the project because you missed out on such and such and such technicalities. So there was that background understanding before we increased the amounts here. It was actually approved by the province, and there's a letter of approval to that effect, Chair. Thank you.
Honorable Nyambose, then.
Well appreciated. The audit was done and it was closed on 31st October. On page 7, the external auditors. We are reading from the report. On 31st October 2023, the grants had not been recovered. And this is your report. Meaning that from the period that you had granted these clubs, you had the approvals from CDF and approvals from the province. You granted. When the auditors came to engage you at your council, you didn't show them the field appraisal report. You didn't show them why you were extending. According to the external auditors at that time, such explanation or justification was not there. You just had to make it after they had left. Because if they were shown this matter could have been arrested and dropped. CS, am I right or wrong? So, the purpose of having these monitoring and evaluation, very good explanation, but negligence that you did not do your part. And the day the auditors came, they're the ones who brought this. Your good explanation is an afterthought. So, Chair, my question is, are you indicating that at the time of audit, 31st October, all these documents were there? And why do you think auditors insisted to bring it up if you had explained the way you explained? I submit, Chair.
Yes. DPO.
Thank you, Chair. I think I'll answer partly of the question, then myself will pick it up from where I'll end. So at the time that auditors visited our council, Chair, we had all the documentation in place. Maybe they could have missed it here and there, but so if you look at the date at which we got our approval, it was way before the auditors visited our council. Even the reports were prepared. So at the time that auditors visited our council, we had already reported this matter to CDFC, and they had granted us authority. Subsequently, even the province had granted us the same authority. Maybe myself might add one or two. It's fine. Okay. Thank you.
What are you telling this committee? Are you telling this committee? Yes, Honorable Shakafuso.
In the authority from the province, I've not seen it on Appendix 6. Maybe if I could be helped. And I also want to ask, in 2022, who was in charge of approval? Was it the province or the minister?
Okay, through the chair. So the letter of approval is actually there on the appendix. The same one that is just there, sir.
Appendix what?
Yeah, so the error that we made in the time, at the time that we were doing our reports, instead of us indicating to say it was approved by the ministry, we were, I think, accustomed to the new norm, where the provinces...
Before you go there, where is the letter? And appendix what?
Appendix 6.
Appendix 6. You want...
The ministry.
Which one? Because this one, the conveyance of notification approval for empowerment grants. Is it the one that you are referring to?
Yes, sir.
No. This was the first letter. This one is the first letter that you were applying for approval for all the grants. So the initial grants. Now, we are talking about the overpayment. You are saying you had to seek approval after that technical appraisal.
Okay.
That's where we want to see the letter. Who, when was it? So take us there, lead us. It's under appendix what?
So
not this one.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So the response came under the same letter of authority, Chair. So at the time that we were applying, it's not like in the first place we applied with less funds, then later on we applied for a different letter with additional funds. No, it was done once and for all. Then on the other part, where the letter is coming from the minister, I think I had explained to say we made an error the time of preparing our report. Instead of us indicating that the approval was done by the province, it was actually done by the ministry, Chair. It's just that of late the province is the one that is granting us authority, so we are still accustomed to what is happening currently.
Before you go, DPO, when were you audited?
Well, the audit started on the 24th of October, 2023, Chair.
Okay, so now, the external auditors, they found that there was an overpayment. That is in October. You get the point. You are showing us a letter that you wrote in September 2022. Is it tallying?
So, Chair, in September 2022, that's when we are seeking for approval for these projects.
Yes.
Yes. So at the time that the auditors were coming, we had already gotten approval for these applied for projects. So we got approval in 2022.
Yes.
Chair, and auditors visited our council in 2023. So at the time that they were coming, we had already been granted the authority to give these beneficiaries the money that they had applied for.
Honorable Nyambose.
Chair, I just wanted to indicate that we appreciate and we have acknowledged that we have a problem in Rupososhi. That's why every time you have a letter from the ministry but you say approval from the province. Throughout, you are conceding that you are making mistakes. And I want to believe that this is not a laughable matter, socio-economic planner. It reflects on your credibility. You had these documents. The auditors come to your council. You don't avail them. Second, the chair had asked earlier did you go through this report? We asked you. You said yes. Now, if you went through this report, you realize that the letter you have attached actually is to the ministry. How did you put in your minute that you got approval from the province, even when you know for sure that by that time the province had no jurisdiction over the approvals? So, if you had shown these to the auditors, what do you want this committee to take? It shows, Chair. I want an answer to get from them. Why? What do you want us to pick? You had these. Are these legitimate documents, or they are manufactured now to fill up the story, or these were legitimate and were shown to the auditors? What is it that you want us, this committee, to take over this particular matter?
Okay, thank you very much. I think what we'll do, so that maybe we can go to other questions, we'll ask our external auditors to help us, because there is this argument. External auditors, if there is any comment over this very important issue over the overpayment of grants.
Thank you, Chair. I wish to inform this committee that as per audit procedure, what we normally do is we do not want to put in the Auditor General's report issues that are not factual. Hence, there is a document which is called a DAP, the draft audit paragraph, where the Auditor General writes to the controlling officer to request him or her to confirm the correctness of the issues that are yet to be put in the Auditor General's report. And I believe Lupososhi received the DAP report, which means they had an opportunity to correct if at all the auditor misrepresented or misdirected themselves. I submit.
Thank you very much. I think it's clearly that there was a point where you missed Lupososhi, because all these issues, you had the time to respond to the external auditors, the issues that they were querying you. So with that said, we would want to go to another question as we wind up. Any other question? Honorable Shaka Nyambose.
Chair, unaccounted for grants, grant fund of 280,000 kwacha on page 13. Chair, management's response. Actually, Chair, there are 7 groups that got 280,000 kwacha, and management's response says that the unaccounted funds can be attributed to lack of proper documentation, inadequate records, and the absence of receipts for the reported expenses by the beneficiary clubs. Management wishes to inform the committee that the matter was reported to CDFC committee for action. CDFC committee took note of the report and recommended for blacklisting for the clubs and individuals from accessing any empowerment grants. The question that I have, they have attached Appendix 12. The first question, Chair, is that we have the planning team that undertake monitoring and evaluation. The period under review up to October 2023, we are looking at the expenditure for January to December 2022, although you are audited, or from 2022, this period we are looking at, the audit that we are looking at. At which point did the technical team discover that these 7 clubs had no receipts for what they had procured, that there were no documentations, proper documentations, etc.? The second question is that they have indicated this, that the CDF committee has recommended for blacklisting. From October 2023, have you written to the 7 clubs indicating or communicating the CDFC committee resolution of blacklisting? And if you have done so, you can take us to the page of the said letters that you have indicated, you have written to the 7 clubs. I submit, Chair.
Take note of those questions. Then Honorable Shakafuswa, then Honorable Mwanza, as well, winding up.
Yes, you have blacklisted these clubs from further accessing empowerment, CDF grants. Is it what the Public Finance Management Act spells out? Is this the correct decision according to the law that guides you as a principal officer?
Honorable Mwanza, last, so that we wind up.
My question is exactly okay. Where are they drawing the powers from? So that we know that blacklisting is for how long, maybe even, and you know.
In an addition.
When you go to this appendix 12, page 4 of 7, when you look at the information that the CDFC provided here, we have 7 of these clubs, and out of 7, only one which was present. I want to find out from the CS, were these beneficiaries sensitized on how to use these grants? Or during the time of sensitization, maybe someone told them that this is money to share. What could have happened? Did you do the due diligence to make sure that this money was even used for the intended purpose?
You can have those set of questions.
Thank you so much, Chair. Chair, even before this money is dispersed to the various groups in our community, there's what we call, we usually form a committee consisting people from finance and other line ministers who go out there to train them on financial redress.
You call that group?
No, it's just we constitute it. It doesn't, yeah, come again. Yeah, technical group which goes out there to train our people out there on financial redress. But of course, you know, it's just a nature of a human being. Mostly, as a local authority, we usually do our part. We take even 2 weeks going around our district to train them on how to use the money, bookkeeping, the principles of bookkeeping. Everything is taught to them. So coming to when we discovered exactly the issues of misapplication or misappropriation of some funds, usually we do go out in the field during our monitoring. That was when it was discovered that some groups are not doing fine and other groups have misappropriated some of these funds. So coming to the other question from Honorable Shakafuswa, our CDF guidelines are not so clear on what action to take on people who misappropriate or who misapplied these funds. I submit, Chair. Thank you.
Now, CS, you are stating to say the guidelines are not clear. And yet here, you are saying you are going to blacklist them. So what are you telling this committee? Where did you base the very blacklisting from?
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Shakafusa referred to the Financial Act. We cannot report them to police. I think the furthest we could do probably is just to blacklist them at the CDF level. Thank you.
Honorable Shakafuswa, then Honorable Nyambose.
Because of time, I kindly acquaint yourself with that act. It's the one you're supposed to invoke You're supposed to recover that money. That is public money. They can't go away with that money. They are supposed to use that money as per the intention that you gave them. If not, they should have applied to the council to change the project, and you approve. Now that they've shared the money, you invoke the law. You report them. If they don't pay back to the council, then the police must move in and recover the money.
Honorable Nyambose.
Noted, Chair.
Chair, when a matter comes as a resolution of a supreme body that manages CDF, it is a CDF committee, they make a resolution. The duty of the chief executive officer or the council secretary or town clerk is to communicate. You have well said it here, that there was a recommendation for blacklisting, and that recommendation was done within 2023. This is 2024. Why have you neglected to communicate to the said clubs the decision, wrong or right, of this committee? You have not attached those letters. I always come to a point where you just writing this for this committee, or you mean what you wrote. I submit, Chair.
Lupososh Town Council, thank you very much for your appearance. This committee, your report surely doesn't meet the minimum requirement. There are a lot of shortcomings. Awarding contracts to those who are not eligible. Those are the things that you are doing. Typo errors, awarding contracts to somebody who even had to bid the list, but you award. The appetite of overpayment. Those are some of the things that are happening in Lupososhi. Overpayment, delayed completion of a maternity annex, construction of a 50 by 40 wire fence, where when somebody has even installed 20 out of 40, you make a payment based on a 40. So I wish to encourage you to go and put your house in order. You'll be appearing before this committee very soon. We don't want to come and see these issues that are happening in this report. As I withdraw now the immunity that I offered towards you, I now wish you that you can travel safely back to Pososhi. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
You can take leave.
Thank you, Chair, for being a good chair.